I'm Deb Dillon. I know I don't know many of you out there, but I'm the Director of Property Management at the Archdiocese. Property management is, as it relates to the Archdiocese of Boston, is the oversight of all transactions that occur relative to parish property, schools, and other related entities. Two departments of the Archdiocese fall under property management, and that is real estate and facilities. You all may know that parish property is legally owned by the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Boston, a corporation sole, meaning that all property is legally owned by the Archbishop himself. However, the pastor is charged with the oversight and the care of the patrimony of the Archbishop's property for the good of the parish. As such, no property can be sold, purchased, leased, or undergo a major construction without the Cardinal's approval. Under the heading of real estate, we assist the parish with a variety of duties, which include the selling of property, buying of property, leasing. We also get involved with easements, encroachments, licenses, adverse possessions, real estate taxes, removal of sacred items in a closed church, many other things that you wouldn't think of as being real estate, but in fact are. We work with canonical affairs and pastors on the relegation of closed churches, the oversight of the reconfiguration properties, bequeathed properties, things like that. Under the facilities area, we are involved in any construction project or renovation project that exceeds $200,000. Last year we had over 100 contracts totaling $15 million in various parishes throughout the diocese. The facilities includes everything from parking lots, roofs, siding, repointing, pews, boilers, any type of renovation or maintenance project. We are involved in everything from the concept to the design to the building permit to weekly construction meetings, change orders, occupancy. We also are involved in the oversight of anything that is environmental, asbestos removal, oil, lead paint, mold, air quality, septic, underground storage tanks, all the fun stuff. We also work with our schools on the AHERA program, which is the testing of asbestos in all active school buildings. That's a mass regulation that's required every 3 years, and so we oversee that as well. And lastly, we get involved in any building demolition, although we don't like to see buildings demolished, but occasionally there is a need for it. We assist the parishes with all aspects of these transactions, from choosing an architect or a realtor, to choosing vendors, to assisting with budgets, savings, working with surveyors. We work with the pastor to obtain the internal approvals that are required through the Pastoral Building Committee, the Cardinal's Finance Council, and the College of Consultors. Oftentimes, we find that pastors can get overwhelmed with the prospect of property management, with selling and leasing and major construction projects. I always tell the pastor that's not why you went to the seminary. That's what we're here for. That's what your finance councils and your pastoral councils are here for. Let us help you. Along with the folks in the Finance Council and Pastoral Councils, we're here to assist the pastor so that he can focus on the more important aspects of church life, particularly ministry, and evangelization. Generally, the volunteers on the Finance Council and the Pastoral Council are the business people. They're the contractors, the bankers, the lawyers, the insurance agents, real estate folks, business people who have real-life experiences that can help the pastor and offer sound advice. With the help of the councils, the folks at and the folks at the Pastoral Center, together we can offer sound advice to the pastor. So how does Disciples in Mission change what we do? Previously, when a pastor would look to sell or lease or undergo a construction project, he would consult with his bishop, his vicar forain, his finance council or parish council, and he would send in his canonical letters, and we'd be on our way. A little bit of an oversimplification, but it really was that easy. Now we're asking parishes not to act independently, but rather to act in the best interest of the collaborative. Instead of saying, we don't need that building, let's sell it, we're asking the parish councils and finance councils to consider, we may not need that building, but what about the collaborative? Does the collaborative need it? Is there a use for it? Is there a future use for it? With the change in the structure being less about the individual needs of a single parish and more about the needs of a collaborative as a whole, we are asking that parishes, no, sorry, go back, I'm sorry. We're asking that pastors have 4 substantial meetings with no fewer than 5 parishioners from each parish. Take a walkthrough of each of the buildings, have conversations about how they can be used, develop a preliminary plan for how each of the buildings can be used, and then present a report on those thoughts and ideas. Generally, they go to Father Soper, and he's been reviewing them. We've had experience with several collaboratives and future collaboratives who have done this and have found it to be very, very enlightening, and they found it to be an exercise in which brought them together, and they were able to come up with some great ideas on how buildings that were currently underutilized could become more utilized for the benefit of the collaboration. This process is required on all potential sales, on any purchases, long-term lease. A long-term lease is defined as any lease over 3 years, as well as any construction project that would alter a building. For example, if you're taking a lower chapel and you're turning it into offices or education space, we're asking that you undergo this plan and walk through the buildings and come up with a plan. Before the money is spent, we want to make sure that the collaborative has property that can accommodate the needs of the entire collaborative, so that a parish isn't putting out money on a building that there may be use for in another, or that there may have in another parish. On the other hand, if a parish is contemplating a new roof or new heating, these steps aren't needed. When going through this process, some considerations or ideas would be, in the collaborative mode, there's a strong emphasis on the rectory being simply the priest's home, with this presumed duplication of property that is in, say, multiple rectories. It's more important that the priests have a place where they can go and it can be their residence, be their home, with no business, no intrusions, a quiet place, a refuge. So the questions would be, which rectory is best suited for living for the priests? Where are the offices best located? How many kids are in religious ed? Can they be accommodated in one location? Should they be accommodated in one location? Are there services that will be combined? Any ministries, religious education, other programs, and what's the best place to hold these? And then conceptually, where's the best place for gathering? Is that at multiple churches? Is there a parish hall that works best? How do we evangelize and welcome more people? Are our buildings handicap accessible? And how does a sale or a lease or a construction effort affect not just our parish, but the collaboration as a whole? With a construction project, we're asking that finance councils and parish councils consider, is the new building or the proposed construction, is it big enough for the entire collaborative? Does it meet not just the needs of your parish, but of the whole collaborative? Will it be multifunctional? And will we need additional parking? Things like that. If a property is leased for an extended period of time, will that space ever be needed? Is there a contemplation for future use? Will it have an effect on parking and other effects on parish life? Some other considerations that we would ask you to take a look at while you're going through this process is that will there be a change in use in any of the buildings? For example, are you taking a rectory, what was a rectory, and turning it into simply office spaces? And will that trigger any new codes? And how will that building be used? You know, if there's a change in use from a rectory to simply an office, it may trigger handicap accessibility. It may trigger, you know, bathrooms, elevators. So there's there's some side effects to doing that. So will there be empty buildings? And if so, do they stay empty? Do we have a use for them? Are there ministries we can put in there? Leaving them empty could subject the parish to real estate tax implications. Even though the parish is a tax-exempt entity, if a building is not being used for religious purposes, it could be subject to real estate tax. So leaving them vacant for a period of time could be problematic. The lower chapel, is there sufficient space for gathering? Can we change any of the locations? Will we need to provide any upgrades and provide accessibility? If there are multiple schools and convents within a collaborative, are they all needed? Which one is best located? Better condition? Can any be sold? Can any be leased? Things like that. And then handicap accessibility. What are the code requirements? Will there be significant costs? Can we share those costs? All these questions and many more, probably still undiscovered, need to be considered for the good of the collaborative. We can help with this, as can many of the folks on the councils. As I mentioned, many of the councils are the business people. They may be architects on a council. But we can work with you as well and work through the potential use for all the buildings, and we'll engage with architects to provide feasibility studies and study the codes for each individual town, because they are different town by town by town. And then we'll have an idea together of what the potential code requirements are, what the potential costs would be, and can it be done, is it functional, and what are the costs. So this is a work in progress for us, as it is for you, and we're here to work with you on that. It's important that we all stay flexible. Each collaborative is very different from each other. Each will have its own individual needs and individual properties, and your plan will be catered to your collaborative with your properties and the missions that you have with those. So all that being said, I know that's a lot to throw out at you. Is there any questions? Or yes, hi Amy.
My question is about vendors.
Mm-hmm.
I see an opportunity for evangelization and local vendors. We're already well into some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear about the Archdiocese approved vendors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if you have to have vendors that are on this list, or if vendors have to have certain qualifications, or so when picking vendors, I'd like to go towards local vendors.
Sure.
So what is the thought?
So whenever there's a project that exceeds $200,000, the pastor has to seek approval through the Cardinal's Pastoral Building Committee. And that's the whole project, not just the construction part of it. And we meet once a month. But anything under $200,000 can be done at the local level. And certainly under the $200,000, you would not have to go with that approved vendor list. We understand the importance of using folks within your parishes, your parishioners, but the only advice I would give you is and I'm sure you all know this, is to get their insurance information, make sure you have a signed contract, and get references. But certainly anything under $200,000, you're welcome to use local vendors. Now on a project that exceeds $200,000, and we generally would go with an approved general contractor from our approved contractor list, we have asked that general contractor to use local vendors. So if we've got a general contractor and we want to use an electrician that's very familiar with the parish, or a plumber, we can do that. We can certainly accommodate that. Yes?
How does all of this fit with the job description of our new business manager, business and operations manager?
The finance and operations manager? Well, we're here to assist the finance and operations manager. So we're not asking that person to do all this. We're there to help them. So I don't have their job description in front of me, but it generally includes the oversight of property, but not to the depth that this is. That's why we're here for. Yes?
So in our collaborative, we also have between a finance manager and a maintenance manager. Would this be under whose authority, basically? Would it be under the finance manager or the maintenance manager?
I think that's an individual call. That would be up to the pastor at your collaborative on where that would lie. But the plan that I referred to would be done through the finance council and the pastoral council, or not even. I'm sorry, not even. This plan could be done with a facilities guy, a parishioner. It could involve finance council people. It should be people who have some knowledge of facilities, architects, real estate, lawyers, people like that, that can give some sound advice on how each building should be used. But I would say that, the distinction between the F&O manager and the facilities manager would really fall with the pastor. Yes?
Does your diocese on a regular basis review its approval of list contractors for projects in excess of $200,000?
Yes, we do.
And is there any option for a parish or collaborative to appeal to have perhaps a particular local contractor?
Yes.
Consider?
Yes, we do that quite often. It's one of the reasons our list continues to expand. We had a parish on the South Shore that was undergoing a major construction project, and we vetted for them 15 new general contractors. So we get their financial information, we have it reviewed by the finance folks, we get their insurance, we get references. So there's a process that we go through. We update it on an annual basis, and we do add new vendors at the parish's request. Yes.